Hey folks, Ben here from the Fibreglass Factory. Just want to talk to you a little bit about release agents today. So if you're making anything out of a mold, then you're going to have to be using release agents so that it doesn't stick. Just like you would grease up a baked tin before you make a cake so that the cake can come out. You need to do the same thing when it comes to fiberglass parts. Now, so we've got a couple of different Carbonaro waxes here that we use. This is a TR108, which is specifically without silicone in it, which we use with a product called PVA, polyvinyl alcohol, and it's basically spraying on a layer of liquid glad wrap. So that's how it sort of works. And then we've also got just a honey wax, which we use, which has got quite a lot of silicone in it, and we don't use that with the PVA because they just don't like each other. But once we've broken a mold in, then we can just switch to honey wax, and that works really well. Now, so that's when we're producing parts. Maybe the first few pulls we'll use a combination of the TR and the PVA, and this is just gets sprayed on, although it can be wiped on. We prefer to spray it on for a little better finish. Once the mold's been broken in, that's the honey wax we use. So we also have semi-permanent release agents as well, which I don't have with me today, but they're quite expensive. But the good thing about those is that they won't leave any sort of film or texture on whatever you're copying off or producing. So the PVA does leave a natural little bit of orange peel, like if you were painting a car. But semi-permanents, I like using wax where it's leaving nothing but the mold surface to copy off. So if I'm doing a really glossy mold, then I'll use the semi-permanents as well as a bit of wax as well, and that'll give me a perfect replication. All right, so when we're copying off rough things though, there's some amazing things we can do with PVA and wax. So if I'm copying off, just suppose I wanted to copy off this cardboard, it's very porous, okay? So what I would do is I would actually coat it with the PVA, probably put 10 coats down on this, 10, maybe 5 light coats, and start to heavy the coats up towards the end, and I end up with quite a thick film of PVA on there, and it'll have sealed all that, and then I can wax over the top of it with a bit of honey wax, and the part will come off perfectly. It's the same with body filler. If we're copying off plaster is extremely porous, more porous than this cardboard actually. So you've just got to really lay down so much PVA, but this stuff's amazing. You can copy off anything that's solid. So when we're copying off rough stuff, body filler, we'll do that sort of process. If we're copying off something that's a really nice high gloss finish, then we can either use TR wax and a little bit of PVA, so that'll keep the finish relatively good, or we can do the semi-permanents, which produce an amazing result, just costs a lot more. When a tin of honey wax and TR is about $30, for a litre of like semi-permanents, you're looking at $120. PVA is reasonably cheap as well, but this is sort of your cheaper options. So I did say that we don't use these two together, but it's only because we don't put PVA over the top of honey wax, because the PVA doesn't like the honey wax, but you can wax over the top of the PVA. So and it works really well. So that's what I was saying with the copying off the cardboard. Now, if you're copying off clay or a substance that sort of got moisture in it, then this is not the way you do it. You'll use either a bit of glad wrap or a bit of aluminium foil to create the rough shape, and then you can fiberglass over the top of it, and it won't stick to it because you've got that barrier there. And then usually that you would use that maybe for a pattern. But you could potentially use that for a really rough mold to create some cool shape for whatever you're doing, fish pond or whatever. Yeah, so the imagination can go wild with what you can create when you've got the right release agents and the way to actually pull the part or mold off whatever you're copying. Now, when you are using honey wax in a mold, it is really important to get all the wax out of the, buff all the wax off the mold, just to stop any residue or build-up of wax on the mold, and that happens quite quickly if you don't rub it off properly. So it's just an application, wipe on, and then get a clean rag and wipe it off like you'd wax a car. Alright, I think that's it. Thank you for watching. If you've got any more questions, feel free to reach out to us. We're here to help. See ya.